Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mayor Corey Mason. Welcome to Racine City Hall. We wanted to give a briefing just on some of the events that have happened, some of the violence that's been occurring here in the community. And to start that off, I'm going to ask the police chief, Maurice Horton, to give some remarks on what we know currently. Chief Robinson, sorry.
Good afternoon. That gets a little bit, you got a couple of Maurices up here, so it didn't happen that often. We had a shooting overnight on Sunday that took one of our business owners, and it was one of those events that just don't seem to make sense. And at this point, it's the 6th homicide of the year in the city of Racine, compared to 3 homicides this time last year. What we know about that event was that we were called about 2:40 in the morning, Sunday a.m., about shots fired, and there was a Mount Pleasant officer that was near the 1300 block of Washington Avenue, heard people screaming, saw cars leaving the area, and as Racine police officers arrived, we located a male victim, 42, that had received a serious gunshot wound. He was transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Also, there was a second victim, a 28-year-old female that was shot at the time. A number of people have been interviewed and were subsequently released. We do not have a suspect in custody at this time. So it's still an ongoing investigation. We're following several leads, but at this point, we have not identified a suspect or a motive. So the Racine Police Department and the investigators are interested in any information that anyone in the public has, and we urge you to call the Racine Police Department at 262-635-7756, or you can leave information for us anonymously at Crime Stoppers at 262-636-9330. This is troubling to all of us. I've met with several organizations and community influencers over the last couple of days. I'll be meeting with some more this evening, some more later on this week. But we are all looking for ways to be able to address this gun violence, and that's what we have. We have far too many guns that are available, and far too many guns that have been in the hands of juveniles. So if you are a parent and you believe that your juvenile's got a gun at home, call the Racine Police Department. We'll come and get your gun. We need everybody to be engaged in this. If you hear shots fired, you need to call us so we know to respond. Any information that you have is very, very valuable to us, because you don't know what investigation that we have that you might be able to help with unknowingly. So having said that, the mayor's got a few words and we'll go on forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Robinson. I appreciate the work that you're doing and the work that your officers are doing to keep us safe. So I want to first express a deep sadness to the victims of gun violence. 6 homicides already this year. That is deeply troubling for the entire city, but obviously deeply, deeply traumatic for the family and friends left behind, left to deal with the loss and the trauma that comes with it. This cannot stand as the new normal for the city of Racine. Gun violence cannot be tolerated in the city of Racine. We have to support the Racine Police Department and its efforts to keep the community safe. Just to echo what the chief just said, please call the Racine Police Department if you have any information on the recent shootings or violence. Please call us if you have a firearm you want to get off the street. As the chief just said, the Racine Police Department will come and get it from you. If you need a gun lock, one will be provided free of charge to you. Please call 911 if you see a situation developing or witness an event. Keep yourself safe and call 911. Posting on social media is fine, but it is not a substitute for calling the police or dispatch. We need everybody's help to address these situations. We are a very close-knit community. We're a community of 80,000 people. I doubt there's anybody here that doesn't know somebody who's been directly impacted, or at least knows somebody who knows somebody who's been directly impacted by this gun violence. This affects all of us deeply, and we have to address this gun violence. It is important that we not become numb to it. This cannot stand or be the new normal. We have to stay motivated and unified to work together to end this violence. It is only together that we will be stronger and safer as a community. As mayor and on behalf of the city, we are committed to engaging all community partners to address the violence we have seen in the last few months. We need to build stronger partnerships and programs. We need to develop interventions and get the community to engage around those interventions. That means all of us. That means the city. That means different levels of government. That means nonprofits. That means churches. That means all of us. As mayor, I need to learn and hear more from the community about what interventions they think work best. But we have a number of efforts that we've had ongoing for years that we need to build on. First of all, I want to just acknowledge the community-oriented policing philosophy that the Racine Police Department has had for years. We have 5 COP houses around the community to reach out directly into the community and make sure that we are able to interact with the community directly. We have Neighborhood Watch. There's been a long-standing partner with the community. If people want to get involved with their community and know more about what's going on, there are avenues to do that. But we don't claim to have all the answers today, and I certainly know there's not a magic pill that will solve all these problems overnight. But I know that we are deeply committed as a community to making sure that we have a safe community, that we have a strong community that works together to end this gun violence. With that, I'll end my remarks. It is my privilege to introduce next the President of the City Council, Alder John Tate. John?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The shooting that happened in Uptown is actually in my district, and is a good friend, the widow of the man who was killed. So it does impact us directly, even when it doesn't. The one thing I want to say as it relates to gun violence in our community and what we're currently seeing, I got you, CBS, is these are ping-ponging interactions. One person harms another person, and that harm escalates to someone else being harmed. So it's critical. With my background being a social worker, I know that trauma creates more trauma if it's not healthily addressed. And I know we have service providers throughout the county, throughout the city that provide mental health care. If you or someone you love has experienced trauma to any degree through violence, it needs to be addressed. Because if it isn't addressed, can become you from becoming a victim to becoming a victimizer. And that's what we're seeing in so many of these instances. This escalating rage that happens between people because it's relational violence. This isn't random acts. It's things that are escalating when people aren't healthily addressing the anger that they feel, the trauma that they've experienced. And unless we're dealing with some of those root causes, law enforcement is going to do their job. They're going to investigate. They're going to find who commits harm to others, and they're going to hold them accountable. But they can't provide therapy when people are hurting. They can't provide treatment when people are broken. We need to be doing that for each other as a community. We need to be reaching out and recognizing when each of us is hurting and intervening at that time. Recognizing when our children are hurting and intervening at that time instead of letting them drift away and ultimately becoming a harm to themselves or others. So our response to public safety, our response to the violence can't just be a law enforcement thing. Public safety is not just the realm of law enforcement. It is the realm of all of us. It is the realm of the residents, is the realm of our neighbors, is the realm of our loved ones. So, I certainly implore our community as we, please ask that you do cooperate with law enforcement when these instances occur. But also, when something's escalating, don't just pick up a cell phone to record it. Pick up a cell phone to call for help or step in and try and de-escalate that. Because you recording someone harming someone and then putting on social media only fuels the rage for that person who may have been harmed to respond in a worse way. We can't continue to do that. We can't continue to hurt each other in that way, and we have to do better as a community. So that's my call to action for our community, and certainly, will demand, as from a city's perspective, that we will do everything we can to provide resources, to bring forth resources, to coordinate with experts in this realm, whether it's human services or law enforcement, to identify solutions and then engage the community with what those solutions may be, as well as asking what those solutions might be from their perspective, because those closest to the problem are the ones closest to the solution. So we want to be engaged with our community in addressing the violence that we see. And today is, if not better late than never, but today is certainly a first step in doing that and addressing that. We recognize the issues, and we're not going to stop until they're addressed. Thank you. Mr. Mayor.
President Tate, thank you. Now I'd like to ask Alder Horton to say a few words. Alder Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to say that this is a community that's grieving. This is a community that have lost a lot in the last year or so. I've pretty much been doing this for the last 25 years here with youth gang diversion programs, youth programs in our city. We love our kids, we love our youth, and we love our families. This is a moment in time that we have to stick together. We're calling on the community, we're calling on volunteers, we're calling on the nonprofits. There are initiatives that we have in place right now that are within the county that we're doing. Voices of Black Mothers United. We have the Credible Messengers program. We also have a summer youth job, and so do the city of Racine, to get our kids an opportunity to work during the summer. So there are initiatives in place. Should it be more initiatives? Probably so. And they have committed, the mayor and the president, talking about getting additional resources to hear from those nonprofits and working with everybody in this community to bring this community back together. The president said that people are hurting. Yeah, the city is hurting, and hurting really, really bad. And I think this is an opportunity that we all come together to show that we love each other and that we can be a peaceful community. I've been here probably the last 20, 25 years, and I've only seen Racine like this probably like 15 years ago. And this could not be the Racine that I moved to. We're looking for answers. We're looking for people to come and join hands. It's easy to point fingers of who's at fault and who's to blame. But I think with us coming together and holding each other accountable and helping this community and the families that are hurting would be the best solution for the city of Racine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maurice. Are there any questions at this time?
For the chief,
Yes.
Chief, our crew found on Sunday, about 3 blocks away, 40 cases. Can you get a picture of how that crime scene is connected to what happened near the barn? How did that?
At this point in time, we're trying to determine whether or not that scene where we were collecting shell casings is directly related, or if we happen to come upon it where shots are fired at some other point and we just discovered them. We don't have a clear nexus to that just yet.
Gotcha. And can you just paint a picture? What happened? Was this like a fight in the bar that spilled outside? Like, how did this transpire?
Based on the information that I have right now, there were 2 women that had been engaged in some fighting over the last several days. A fight ensued outside, not in the bar itself, and at some point shots began to get fired, and that's when 2 people were struck.
Would it be fair to say that Mr. Blair was maybe caught in the crossfire?
Early indications are he was not involved but was trying to break up the fight.
Can you speak to some some of the initiatives as we head into warmer months, generally in this area, Chicago, Milwaukee, we see more violence. What are some things that the administration has done to get ahead of some of the violence? Maybe, I don't know if you've anticipated that spike in violence, but what has been done to prevent summer violence from increasing more than it has?
Well, there are different facets of city government that are working on youth employment, which is one of those things that allows young people to have something to do other than things that are negative. And early last year, we also were able to work with Parks and Recs to have them keep the community centers open for a couple hours later in the summertime, which really helped us out last year. So we anticipate doing the same thing last year that we did this year to give kids something constructive to do into the later afternoon, into the early evening hours.
And just to follow up on the chief's comments, just to build on things that we've always done, we have community centers throughout the community. As the chief mentioned, this year, for the first time in decades, we've actually added hours on Saturdays and evenings to make those more accessible. We do have the COP houses throughout the community. We do have a youth employment program that we're beginning this summer, including a police cadet program that will encourage young people to partner with the police department and learn what policing is all about. So we have a number of initiatives that we are working on to make people safer, to give people constructive things to do, and just to make us a stronger community generally. I mean, a lot of these interventions are good beyond violence prevention. They're good to give people job skills and opportunities, generally speaking. But we have a number of initiatives that are underway, some of them funded through ARPA dollars that we receive from the federal government. But we want to make sure that we're giving people real opportunities to do constructive things this summer, particularly for young people, to make sure that they've got the opportunities and skills they need to succeed, and hopefully not engaging in this gun violence that we've been seeing.
Mayor, I believe that you obviously are very aware of the family that was impacted by this tragedy. I think a few weeks back you were supporting fundraising efforts that they were providing for another family that was struck by a tragedy. What's your reaction?
I mean, there's a lot of people in town who know Yogi and her family and her efforts. She was on the mayor's police reform task force last year or 2 years ago. She's been an active pillar of not just Uptown but the entire community. Our hearts ache for her and her whole family. I mean, it's just really, words can't express the loss that she's feeling. But again, we are a close-knit community. People know each other in this town. I can't imagine how she's feeling and grieving losing her husband. We're all devastated for her.
Is there any thought given to somehow changing police strategy? And I've got nothing specific in mind, but as a result of all this, is there anything that the officers are being told differently?
So I'll ask the chief to comment on police strategy generally.
The answer is we are being judicious and vigilant as we always are. There's no strategy for random violence. There's no strategy for senseless violence. Nobody has a plan for that. If you look around our country this week, just this weekend, random shootings in Milwaukee, in the Deer District, 10 people killed going to the grocery store in Buffalo, a church shooting this weekend. There's no plan for that. You cannot plan for that. But what we can all do is encourage people to seek mental health, to let people know when someone that they know is in mental health crisis. Or let them know if someone that they know has a gun that shouldn't have a gun. Everybody has to be involved.
I think you already touched on this. Is there any common denominator between the 6 homicides this year?
For 5 of the 6 homicides, what we do know is that there was at least some knowledge between the suspects and the victims, and there was some kind of disagreement or argument that led to gun violence. Other than that, this last victim, based on what we know right now, was an absolute innocent victim that was trying to stop a fight.
The you said 2 women were arguing. Are they facing any charges?
Not for a misdemeanor fight, no.
I have a question on that, actually, Chief, if you could state. So it has been said, and you can give clarity on this if this is not accurate, that this shooting happened in a city lot, parking lot. And it was said that the bar owners were the ones who were supposed to kind of clear that area, even though it was not their area. It was city property. Can you speak on that?
No, I can't.
Is it true then that the owners are supposed to like clear out the city lots when their bars close?
That is not something that I'm familiar with.
Okay. That's all over the news. It's all over the internet.
Everything on the internet is not real.
Yogi said it herself. That's why I'm asking for clarity.
Other questions? Thank you, everyone, for being here today.